What's up, everybody? It is I, Tevin El Chapo. Friends call me Chop, and we are here for a review of the new Vince Staples show on Netflix called The Vince Staples Show. Vince Staples is a rapper from Long Beach, California that broke out into the hip-hop scene in the early to mid-2010s. He's also made multiple appearances in films and TV shows such as White Man Can't Jump that came out last year. He also done some guest appearances on Abbott Elementary, a few other works throughout the years as well. And he also was able to create Vince Staples Show. Now, the Vince Staples Show initially started as a YouTube series accompanied with a few singles that he was dropping. This had to have been somewhere around 2019. But since then, he was able to partner up with Netflix to get the show fully made into a full-blown production. However, due to setbacks such as the writer's strike and even the pandemic in 2020, made the release of the show delayed all the way up until now, and we finally have it 5 episodes on Netflix, all of which are, in my opinion, pretty solid. With a 5-episode run, the Vince Staples Show follows Vince as he goes through various parts of his day-to-day life, whether it be prison, whether it be family, friends, going to the bank, things of that nature are all brought up. Now, the show does a great job of showing Vince going through his day-to-day life with almost a surreal take, similar to Atlanta. I've seen a lot of comparisons to this show to Atlanta on FX. Even Netflix itself has compared this to Atlanta, saying that the Vince Staples Show is Atlanta meets Curb Your Enthusiasm. Now, I think that only time will tell on just how much of an influence that Atlanta has been on this show specifically, given that Atlanta has had 4 seasons and this show only has 5 episodes. So it's not necessarily enough of a good sample size to determine how much we can compare it to Atlanta. Vince has also spoken in interviews about how Donald Glover had helped him with the production of this show as well. And I think that a lot of the comparisons that the Vince Staples Show has to Atlanta are mainly coming from the Afro-surrealism that the subject matter has throughout the show. Both shows portray an artist in his hometown going through relatively different phases of success. I think that I do have a little bit more of a bias towards Atlanta, not only because of just how many more episodes there is of that show, but also being that I'm also from the Atlanta area. So a lot of the things that may have been exaggerated in that show, I have seen within my own eyes to know that they come from real experiences. And I can't necessarily say that for the Vince Staples Show, only because I'm not from California. I don't live out there. So a lot of the things may not resonate with me as much as someone who is actually from these areas. Also, to be brutally honest, I don't particularly find the Vince Staples Show as funny as I found Atlanta. I think that Atlanta did a better job of working in the comedic levels on top of the dramatic situations as well. That's not to say that the Vince Staples Show isn't funny or that it doesn't work up the dramatic levels as well either. But I just think that Atlanta had a lot more time with its character development and just various characters in different stages of their lives that you can pull different comedic situations from, versus Vince Staples, where the show is predominantly about him and just him. So the situations are kind of narrowed down in that sense. Also, I think that Vince does a great job being the lead of the show. He definitely carries a lot of charisma and a lot of empathy in a lot of the situations that he's put in per episode. I think that one of the more interesting aspects of the Vince Staples Show is just showing how, while Vince may be removed from certain situations due to his fame and popularity in the music industry, it doesn't necessarily mean that he is so far away from situations that they don't face him anymore. Like the episode at the bank, for example, when he realizes that his friends are the ones who are robbing the bank, essentially. That is a situation that compares to his own in a sense that that could have easily been him robbing banks instead of him being in the music scene. Or even in the last episode when he has animosity from someone in his childhood that he now has to deal with. He could have just as easily been that person in that situation who is resentful towards someone who was in his same age group, someone that he knew back in the day that became successful. But instead, he was the one with the success, and now he has to deal with the blowback of that. Also, I think that a lot of the surreal moments that we compare the Vince Staples Show to versus Atlanta mainly come from Twin Peaks more than anywhere else. I think that with both shows using Twin Peaks as an influence, it's easy to compare the two to each other if you haven't necessarily seen Twin Peaks before. But I think that the differences between Atlanta and the Vince Staples Show mainly come from just in terms of not only the scope of the story, because Atlanta focuses on 4 main characters and not necessarily just one in the Vince Staples Show. But I also think that in terms of the Vince Staples Show, it does a different job of just portraying these situations and not necessarily copying beat for beat the situations that the characters in Atlanta were put in either. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the Vince Staples Show. I didn't particularly, again, find it as funny as Atlanta may have been, but I do find it enjoyable across the board. I think that the acting was really well done. I think that the cinematography was well shot. I think that the only gripe that I had was that in some of the scenes, I think maybe Vince Staples' audio was a little muffled, not necessarily as crisp as it could have been or as crisp as some of the other characters around him when they were speaking, but that is a minor gripe to have considering that Vince essentially had to do this with a very low budget. And I think that with the budget that Vince had for the show, I think that it came out pretty well overall across the board. So if you haven't seen the Vince Staples Show, please be sure to check it out. It is on Netflix. Like I said, it's only 5 episodes. Each episode is about 20 to 30 minutes long, so it's a very quick binge as well. But these are my thoughts. What do you think of the Vince Staples Show? Have you seen it? What was your favorite episode? What was your favorite scene? Comment below and let me know what else you want me to discuss on the channel. Again, my name is Tevin El Chapo. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.